guy who's playing tabla, can you tell me the number that's on that silver tag that's on the mic that you hold up towards you? Number 4. 4. Okay, thanks.
Hello. Welcome. Bhakti Fest 2019 back in session again. Hello. Woo. Yeah, so let's just point at least one of the speakers in a little bit.
Sharanam, once we get you set up.
Hello.
Sharanam.
Yeah.
Once we get you set up, and then everything's good, just give me a thumbs up, and then when you leave, you just mute everything before anybody unplugs anything. Just mute the quiet channel. Yeah, you can just mute it.
Hello, welcome. All blessings on those that get up early in the morning to face the rising sun instead of sleeping, making the conscious choice to practice for liberation. All blessings upon those who bring themselves in to the realm of light through conscious awareness and practice. All blessings on those that choose to aim for the sun. All blessings on those that choose to see through the illusion. All blessings on those that make an effort to find the truth and live in a truthful way. All blessings on those that come home from their wanderings and meanderings in furtive lifetimes. All blessings on those that seek to see the bigger picture of life. All blessings on those who identify with the life eternal in the cosmos beyond this human world of birth and death. All blessings on those who seek freedom in the realm of light. All blessings on those who lay down their lives joyfully and willingly to ascend into the heavenly realms. All blessings on those who attempt to see the truth in all things and to let go of all desire and regret. Opposite sides of the same coin. All blessings on those who seek freedom and emancipation from their own ignorant slavery. All blessings on those who seek the peace and contentment of dharmic life. All blessings on those who identify with the words and the teachings and the lives of the saints, the masters and the deities. All blessings on those that call in the divine qualities into their life through daily practices. All blessings on those that do the work of seva, the requirement for liberation to serve one another, simply for the sake of love. All blessings on those that give their hearts to freedom. All blessings on those that seek victory over samsara, the endless wheel of birth and death. All blessings, all blessings, all blessings on those that seek to live in the cosmos beyond and during this earthly entrapment. All blessings, all blessings, all blessings on those that seek the realm of the soul, all that which lies within and above, the realm of the sky, the realm of the cosmos. All blessings, all blessings, all blessings on those that seek redemption and emancipation from their past karma. All blessings, all blessings, all blessings on those that see the relentless regret and pleasure syndrome falling away into the equanimity of divine realization. All blessings, all blessings, all blessings on the lovers of freedom and truth, for they have a chance. All blessings, all blessings, all blessings on those that seek the realm of the stars as their future and eternal home, rather than living unconsciously on the surface of a small planet. All blessings, all blessings, all blessings on those that seek to travel all throughout the universe, free from time and space, into infinite consciousness which pervades the whole universe. All blessings, all blessings, all blessings on those that seek universal consciousness beyond the human condition of birth and death. All blessings, all blessings, all blessings on the ones that practice silent meditation and freeing the mind from earthly entanglements. All blessings, all blessings, all blessings on those that are seeking to let go and to live freely in this moment. All blessings, all blessings, all blessings on the seekers of freedom and truth. All blessings on all blessings on all blessings on those that seek to understand the true philosophy of yoga beyond the body and beyond the mind, beyond the circumstance, all which are removed at the moment of bliss. All blessings, all blessings, all blessings on those that seek freedom from birth and death. The true goal of yoga to descend into the light body, free from the desire for more birth and death. All blessings, all blessings, all blessings on those who seek eternal freedom. The true path of yoga, to overcome the fear of death, and to find one's home in the eternal realm of consciousness, free of body, mind, and circumstance, the only guarantee of which is death. All blessings, all blessings, all blessings on those that leave it all behind without regret and without desire for more. They are the old souls that seek freedom. All blessings, all blessings, all blessings on those that see through the entrapment of their own creation. All blessings, all blessings, all blessings on those that seek freedom from slavery and ignorance. There is no liberation for the ignorant. There is no emancipation for the enslaved to ignorance. All blessings, all blessings, all blessings on those that study the Dharma. All blessings, all blessings, all blessings on those that seek to live in the way of the eternal ones. All blessings, all blessings, all blessings. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namo Namah, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namo Namah Shivaya, Om Namo Namah Shivaya, Om Namo Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namo Namah Shivaya, Om Namo Namah Shivaya. Shivaya, Om Namo Namah Shivaya, Om Namo Namah Shivaya, Om Namo Namah, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namo Namah, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namo 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 Namah. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namo Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namo Namah Shivaya, Om Namo Namah Shivaya. So welcome to all. We're going to be doing a session of morning practices and contemplations on the truth of the universe. And when you think about what is true, what is really true, this is the question of all the yogis. This is the question of all intelligent people. The average unintelligent person has no contemplation or care for truth, but the old souls that have had many incarnations start to care about what is true. So the masters have said quite clearly, only that which exists in the past, the present, and the future. Only that which exists in the past, present, and future is true. Everything else is what we call the Maya. The Maya means a temporary situation, temporary phenomena that always winds up in death. The average human being is totally caught up in Maya at all times, surrounded by situations that are always changing and disappearing. The condition of being born into a body is a guarantee of death. There's the only guarantee of being born into a body in this material plane is that it is going to die. It's going to get old, if you're lucky. Or if you have a long, beautiful life surrounded by your friends and family and all is well, fabulous. But at the end of the day, even the most idyllic, beautiful life comes to an end. And the old souls of India, the masters of India, they knew this a long time ago. They had it figured out way before just about anybody else. And so they gave us a set of practices and contemplations to help us make it through this situation, this beautiful but also grim situation. The second you're born, you're just on a long arc to death. And once you start studying the law of karma, you realize that you have done this many, many times. This one lifetime you have right now is just a little microcosm of your total experience. The vast, vast majority of your experience is in the past. And in every previous lifetime before this one, you always wind up dead. And dying usually involves suffering, sadness, loss, and so forth. And so the old souls that have been through this process enough times realize that the sum total of their life is death. It's inexorable. It's like a train that's running to an end of a track, or it's like a ship that's slowly sinking. And at the same time you're on the ship that's slowly sinking, you're on the ship with millions and billions of other souls, and they're suffering through the same consequence. Everybody's on the way towards death simultaneously. And so there's an overall sense of sadness and desolation that is approaching at any moment. And the truth of the matter is that very, very few people are paying attention to the truth, to the reality of how this situation is. It's too uncomfortable, it's too unpleasant to contemplate truth. So right off the bat, you're surrounded by liars and slaves at all times, people that are ignoring truth. They have no recognition of truth. They don't care about it whatsoever. And they're just trying to survive in a futile existence that always ends up dying. So there's a constant submission to ignorance when you're surrounded by ignorant people. So that's why you often see the yogis perched up on a high mountaintop. They've gone on a long vision quest or a journey to find themselves in the cosmic scope of things beyond birth and death. They know it's inevitable, but they're going to get over the sadness and the fear of it. When you're climbing the mountain to spiritual freedom, there's many steps along the way. There's many lifetimes. Does anybody here not understand reincarnation or not believe in it? If it's just a fanciful thought, raise your hand if you're one of those people. Okay. Most people that are into yoga understand this. So there's many things that have to be overcome to become a free being. The lower levels are really obvious. Stuff like, don't kill anybody, don't hurt anything, don't be non-violent. It's called ahimsa, non-violence. Be kind, be loving. Understand that whatever you do to someone else will return to you. Whatever is happening to you in this lifetime is something you did to them before. It's karma, which means deeds. The literal translation of the word karma means deeds. These are material activities and actions, things that happen on the earth plane, and they're very tiny. They're always repeating and repeating and repeating. The law of karma is very simple. It says, whatever a being thinks, says, and does, they will think, say, and do again. So it's a cycle. Every thought, every word, and every action leads to an echo of that coming back again and again. And slowly over time, as you become aware of this situation, you change your thoughts to positive, loving and kind thoughts. You change your words to positive, loving and kind words and truthful words. There's no lying in yoga. That's one of the, I do not know the Sanskrit term for that right now, but it's the opposite of truth. And what's it?
Satya.
Yeah, satya. Satya is the truth, and the opposite of it is called avidya. Avidya means anti-life, and it means you're ignorant and you don't care. Or nescience, the absence of reality, the absence of logic. So there's avidya, which means complete ignorance, and that's unfortunately the vast majority of people around you are completely ignorant, and they're fine with that. That's just who they are. There's a few people, a few little sparkling beings out there seeking truth. The vast majority of people are not seeking truth. So right off the bat, as you're going through this process, you're surrounded by people who don't care. And so eventually you withdraw compassionately from those people and those situations because they just drag you backwards. You cannot drag anybody else to the mountaintop of liberation if they're ignorant and they don't care. If there's no practice, no awareness, no truthful seeking, no truthfulness, there's no chance for freedom. So to free oneself is to free oneself from ignorant fools and from your own ignorant foolishness, and to realize how trapped you've been. There's a blessed day that some people are lucky enough to have where they realize, holy moly, I have been here for thousands of years and I always wound up dead and it always hurt. There's one blessed lifetime where you've had 10,000 lifetimes, 20,000 lifetimes, whatever it is. There's one day when you finally figure it out. It's called realization. You don't believe it. It's not a belief. It's not faith. It's not practice. It's the truth. You have realized truth. That's when you start to become a self-realized being. When you realize the way it is, and you drop the bullshit, and you drop the bullshit artists that are around you that are maintaining the bullshit. You disconnect from bullshit, your own bullshit and others' bullshit. You no longer have time to suck up to any more bullshit. Very difficult, extremely difficult. We're incredibly entangled in webs and webs. Our family of origin, our DNA, all of our ancestors, our neighbors, everybody driving down the freeway, constantly surrounded by people who don't care. So it's a very difficult path. You're going against the stream of humanity if you're going for freedom. If you're among people that don't care, how are you possibly going to free yourself? It's very, very difficult. The best thing you can do is to compassionately serve those people. Realize they're in the condition of enslavement and that you're a slave too and you want to get free. It's like any other addiction. If you want to get free, you have to call it for what it is. You have to know your own level of ignorance and intelligence and do something about it. So, right off the bat, the study of truth, the contemplation of truth, and eventually thinking truthful thoughts, speaking truthful words, and doing truthful actions. That's the pathway to freedom. Eventually, this doesn't just happen overnight, but sometimes the realization happens overnight. Like, there's some day, it's usually when something really, really bad happens, like when an alcoholic or a drug addict hits absolute bottom and they go, I don't want to be this one anymore. Well, it's the same thing where I don't want to keep reincarnating anymore. I always wind up dead. I mean, my being is filled with the eternal light of the cosmos, but my body is a temporary situation. So it's seeing yourself as you really are. Your body, mind, and circumstance is temporary. Your soul is eternal. So to make the transition from living in this temporary situation and tuning your frequency to the light of the cosmos and becoming okay being unified with the whole cosmos rather than just being one little individualistic nugget that's always ending up crunched. It's your choice. These are all choices by where your consciousness is. Whatever you are conscious of, whatever you are thinking, saying, and doing determines where you're going in your future. So these are all choices. There's thousands and thousands of little choices every day that we make that add up to the sum total of our experience and will repeat in the future. And this is difficult for people to understand. It cuts so close to the bone that you can't really see yourself until you start practicing meditation and have a chance to let your mind get out of the way. And you notice how out of control your mind is. You notice how anxious and nervous you are and all the people around you are. You're just surrounded by anxious, nervous people that are all scurrying about at top speed to death. So it's an intense situation. The yogis knew that. So what did they do about it? They meditate, they pray, they do very difficult movements and motions to try and make their bodies and their minds strong. They do difficult things on purpose. It's called tapas, or austerities. You put yourself in difficult positions preparing for the ultimate difficulty of death. And so you do things that are very challenging. You challenge yourself to get over the pain and suffering and to become content with what you have. Because no matter what you have, no matter who you are, no matter what your situation is, everything in your world is in a constant state of change and disappearance. Everything on the material plane in terms of consciousness changes and disappears. So your friends, your family, your situation, your job, your car, your children, if you're lucky enough to have them, your family, everybody in your world will end up disappearing, and you're going to disappear from their world. That's the guarantee. So preparing and practicing for disappearance with joy, humility, and gratitude, like, thank you, I have a chance for freedom. I reincarnated, therefore I have a chance for awareness and advancement. And I can make it to the realm of stars with the right contemplation and the right practice. Practice, contemplation, breath, awareness, and seva. Those are the elements of liberation. Practicing for disappearance. Joyfully. I'm glad that I'm dying and I'm going to the realm of light. I'm ready to give it up. As this body falls away, I'm going into the realm of the angels. Feeling that as you're in the process of dying. Even the most beautiful life, the most wonderful life. And I had a very powerful example of this. My late great parents were happily married for 64 years. They had the ultimately good male-female relationship. They never fought, they never argued. They were like total team players, always loving and kind their whole lives. And yet the most happiest, beautiful situation ended in one of them dying and then the other. And it was extremely sad. It was like this long, slow trauma. And watching their individual karma sinking them. Now my mother, who is a very aware person, not in the sense of being a yogi or anything like that, she was a hardcore Christian, but But she was celebrating the act of dying. Every day she was affirming, thank you for I have such a wonderful life. Thank you for my great family. We've always been such a good family. She was constantly saying affirmative things as she's getting weaker and weaker and weaker. She always had a smile on her face and making jokes right up to the last day. The last time I ever heard my mother say anything, she was basically saying, I'm ready to go with the Lord now. I'm tired. I'm ready to go with the Lord. And my mom was a big shopper, and she said, and you know, the Lord's going to take me from this shelf, and he's going to put me on the heavenly shelf. And everybody has an expiration date, and mine is up. That's the last thing I heard my mom say, and she was laughing almost hysterically. And my sister and I were laughing and crying, and my dad was going, holy shit. And it was like this super emotional but profound moment. And so my mom, I got the personal demonstration of how to die gracefully, how to just face the inevitable with joy, like not hanging on. And so we're going to talk about practices of release and letting go today. We're going to work with letting go. We're going to work with practices that have to do with the breath and putting the release into the breath. So the breath consists of the inhale and the exhale. So there's the filling up with energy, with intention, with empowerment. That's called the prana. And then there's the exhale, which is the release, the relax. So just find yourself in any comfortable position. If you're wearing any sort of belts or jewelry or anything that in any way prohibits your belly from getting full with air, I highly recommend releasing that. We want to be able to fill up the belly with air. And so this is a very gentle form of pranayama. Pranayama is using the breath to raise the vibration. The prana is the air element. It's the most etheric of the physical elements, right next to light. On the physical world, the lower elements are the earth and the water. That's the solidity, the changeability, the impermanent things that fall apart and recirculate. That's the earth. That's our bodies, our body, mind, and circumstances of the earth. And then there's the prana, that's the air, and the fire, the agni. Those are the more etheric vibrations. They're more closer to the cosmos. And the air, the prana, is the element which transcends from the earth to the cosmos. So whenever you're breathing with consciousness, you're breathing in a feeling of uplifting, rising up above the earthly situation into the realm of the cosmos. So when you're breathing, breathe in through the nose gently. Every now and then, pull your head back a little bit and put your third eye looking up above the horizon. Look up, look into the vast space of the cosmos. And when you breathe in through the nose, notice the sound of the air coming in through the nose. There's this very gentle little sound that we ignore most of the time, but for a few minutes now we're going to tune into that sound. It's that sound of the sniffing or the wind of prana. Just listen to that sound. We breathe it in. You want to associate that sound with life and gratitude for life. As long as you're breathing, you're still here. The second that's over, within about 2 minutes, you're finished. So, just listening to that sound, that gentle little sound. And then on the out breath, open the mouth very gently and just let it go through the mouth. Just make that little sound of. So just go back and forth from the in breath, out breath. gentle rhythm, very gentle practice. Just fall into a nice little rhythm and listen to those sounds intently. Focus your awareness on the sound of the breath. Just keep going with that. When you breathe in, try and fill up the belly. Put your hand down on your belly and try and push your hand away from your spine by filling up, becoming pregnant with breath. In pranayama, it's the one time in Western yoga culture where it's cool to be fat. It's okay to stick your belly out. You don't have to be like the yoga guy or girl. It's okay to be like Buddha, big belly. Fill up the belly, stick it out. There's so much more air and prana that you could be receiving if you practice breathing. Most people never really breathe very fully. Want to bring awareness to how much more prana is available by filling the whole diaphragm and the belly up. And then on the out-breath, just with your hand, just gently push in the belly and push the last little bit of air out. So breathing in, let it fill up. And then in the out-breath, push out. Push a little more. Just feel that yin and yang. It's just like the yin chasing the yang. Being full and fat, and then being empty and skinny, back and forth. That's the nature of life. There's this back and forth quality. It's a continual thing. The average human being, the non-athletic human being, every day takes anywhere from 17,000 to 20,000 breaths, depending on their conditioning and their state of awareness and how hard they're working. Any one of these thousands of breaths could be the beginning of the pathway to freedom. Any one breath can start leading to the next breath. It's like one step at a time, breathing your way to freedom. Breathing your way to release from your past. Putting all elements of the past into the out-breath. There's nothing about the past you can do except to let it go. The past is only as real as you remember it. When the past comes up, take a big old breath and then breathe it out. We're going to do a little practice of releasing where if there's any situations or personalities in your world that you know that you need to let go of, things that are over, you want to be over, they need to be over, there's no question they need to be over. Put that in the out-breath. I do a lot of counseling sometimes for people going through traumas and grief, and The only thing we can do with trauma and grief is to put it in the past and let it go. The more you think about things that happened, the more emotional reaction you have to your past, the more you recreate it. So it's the desire and regret thing. The more you desire, the more troubles and loss you have. The more loss you have, the more you desire. So finding the middle ground of release and joyful release. I can finally let it go now. I can finally let you go now. I can finally end this entanglement. Whatever situation you have in your world that causes you troubles and grief, just put it into that out-breath with forgiveness. Thank you for this lesson. I can finally let go of you now. I'm finally over it. Thank you. You have to have gratitude for the struggles and the releasing. Releasing things lets your soul fly free. Hanging on to things is like sinking you further into the Maya, further into the past. Eventually you realize there's nothing in the past that's really worth anything, because everything that was in the past is disappearing. It's always in a constant change of disappearance. That's the sad truth of the being on the earth. Things are always fading away. They're changing, mutating, and disappearing. So the goal of yoga is to become okay with that and to welcome that. Like, get over it, move on, keep moving, keep climbing the mountain of consciousness. So we're going to unify the breath with contemplation and affirmation. And affirmation is a positive statement that you say to yourself to remind you of the way it is and the way you need things to be for you to become free. So on the in-breath, we're going to practice extending the breath, holding the breath longer when you're full, and then releasing more deeply when you're empty, and relaxing without breathing. Just relax into the state of emptiness. And it's a state of emptiness where you will find freedom. This is the part of your being where the negativity and the repeating patterns start to fall away, because you realize, if you meditate enough, you realize that every time you come back from meditation, you start a whole other round of karma, and this is a choice. Whereas if you choose to stay in meditation, you are rising above your karma. When you're meditating on the infinite, all you can do is go up in consciousness. When you're in the active world of thinking, saying, and doing, all you can do is bind yourself to more repetition of what happened before. So that's why it's important to understand how karma works and to slowly change your thoughts, words, and actions into practice. Practice for liberation. So in this practice, we breathe in through the nose, become full, resting temporarily, and saying the very easy affirmation, thank you, Great Spirit, for this life. Giving gratitude to the fact that you exist, that you have existence and consciousness. Therefore, you have a chance to evolve. So breathing in through the nose and resting, and saying out loud, thank you, Great Spirit, for this life. And out through the mouth, I am coming home now. Resting in the silence. Breathing in through the nose. Resting. Affirming, thank you, Great Spirit, for this life. I am coming home now. Rest in the deep silence. Breathing in through the nose. Just slowly extend the breath by breathing fuller. Resting. Thank you, Great Spirit, for this life. I'm coming home now. Resting. Thank you, Great Spirit, for this life. Sigh of relief. I'm coming home now. Welcome yourself back to the spiritual realm. Breathing in through the nose, very full, really full up the belly. Let that prana soak in. And affirm, thank you, Great Spirit, for this life. Sigh of relief, I'm coming home now. Rest in the homecoming. Breathing in fully. Absorbing the prana. Thank you, Great Spirit, for this life. I'm coming home now. This is how you come home. This is how you rise up out of all the crazy things in your world. You get closer to the mountaintop of freedom. Breathing in. Resting with gratitude. Thank you, Great Spirit, for this life. I'm coming home now. Just fall into the silence. Breathing in deeply. Resting in gratitude. Thank you, Great Spirit, for this life. Affirm the homecoming. I'm coming home now. Press out a little more air. Breathing in through the nose. Thank you, Great Spirit, for this life. I'm coming home now. Breathing in fully. Absorb the prana. Be full. Out through the mouth. It's okay to be empty. That's where you start to rise up. So just practice that, each person in their own rhythm. Really focus on those two feelings and sounds, the air coming in with gratitude. Thank you, Great Spirit, for this life. And then the sigh of relief. I could finally let go and come home. To start to feel your consciousness rising up in that silent space. And just talk mindlessly or just completely ignore it. If you become aware of breathing with gratitude, it becomes a really strong impetus to practice meditation more powerfully, more relentlessly. When you realize that the high and the good feeling you can get from meditation is sustainable and healthy, none of these other things that people do to try and get high can really match up. they cost money, they take a lot of time. Whereas every single day you have 17,000 more chances to get onto the bliss train. Every day you're breathing thousands of times, tens of thousands of times. Why not take some time on the path, spend some time on the path? The masters have said when the spiritual devotee or the yogi can breathe for one rotation of the earth on its axis, in other words, one 24-hour period of breathing with unbroken concentration, the doorway of freedom is at hand. So if you realize, if you're at the place of realization that you have reincarnated thousands of times, breathing with gratitude for one day is a really short, powerful expansion of your experience towards the divine. I'm finally coming home. You need to remind yourself to come home. All this outer entanglement and running and hiding and acquiring and unacquiring of feeling and unfeeling, all the joy and sorrow, these are all parts of karmic existence. But the eternal existence is free from those things. Those things don't impinge upon the free soul. They don't relentlessly call the soul back for more reincarnation. So it's called becoming dispassionate, unconcerned with earthly feelings that always change and disappear. Tune into the feeling of bliss, which is eternal. That is the good news. The human being is 100% filled with light and bliss at every moment if they choose to access it through conscious awareness and practice. That's the beautiful thing about our situation. Yes, we get old and we die and it's painful, but at every moment bliss is available through awareness of truth and practice. So earlier we're doing the Om Namah Shivaya chant. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namo Namah Shivaya. Om Namo Namah. So Lord Shiva, he's what they call the destroyer of illusion. What does that mean? It means that all of us for a long time are caught in illusion. We do not know the truth. We've been separated from truth through our entanglement with earthly existence. And to find the truth, you have to realize that you're ignorant. You don't get to freedom until you realize how ignorant you are. You don't practice until you understand that you have been lost. You don't try and get out of jail until you know that you're in jail. So when you're chanting the Lord Shiva, you're saying, I know that I'm on jail. I know that my thoughts, my little micro mini mind thoughts of my human world are so tiny and ultimately irrelevant in the cosmos. They have nothing to do with the stars or freedom or the vastness of who your light body is. They're strictly in a microcosmic world of earthly, egoic, animalistic life, which is guaranteed to end. So how real are those thoughts? In the grand scheme of things, if you make it to spiritual liberation, you're not going to be worried about what you ate for breakfast or who broke your heart or all the good and bad things you had in this little mouse-like existence as a human being. None of that matters. What matters is that you are freeing your soul to live in the realm of the eternal ones, the eternal beings, the beings that are beyond birth and death. So when you're saying Om Namah Shivaya, says, I know that I'm trapped in illusion. I've parsed up all of these situations into false differentiations. My mind is so small, I can't see the oneness of all. It's too big. I have to keep breaking things down into me and you and us and them and good and bad and hot and cold and rich and poor. My poor little mind is so trapped in such a small, rodent-like existence that I can't see the grandeur of the universe. There's no way for me to contemplate it, but I want to. I know that I look up at night and I see the stars. I want to understand the big picture. So it's an admission of ignorance, but it's also an affirmation of I don't want to be ignorant anymore. I want truth. So whenever you hear the Om Namah Shivaya, you're thinking, saying, take down the prison bars of my mind so I can see the bigger picture. Take down all this little micro bullshit that is the culmination of my individual egoic experiences over lifetimes that always ended in death. And I know that is ultimately really small potatoes. I want to know what the masters of the universe know. It's like you're proclaiming yourself to be free. You want to free yourself. It's like an emancipation. I want to be emancipated from the slavery of ignorance. I want to be emancipated from the slavery of ignorance. You acknowledge your position and you're crying out for emancipation. So you don't chant to Lord Shiva unless you're ready for truth. If you chant to Lord Shiva and you're not ready for truth, it's going to blow your circuits. Same thing with like Kali. Kali and Shiva are male and female counterparts. They're the harbingers and the deliverers of truth. So if you want truth, you chant to Lord Shiva, because you realize I need to destroy the illusions of separation that I've been carrying for freaking ever, and I want to get back into the realm of oneness of the divine. So we're going to work Shiva chant a little bit, and then we're going to do some other mantras here. So there's so many branches of yoga. We're just exploring little bits and pieces of them. But the contemplations are extremely important, to contemplate the truth of your situation and to get over it, because it's in this process of disappearing. It's in the process of fading away and turning into dust. So find your eternal being. When you're chanting to the eternal beings, you're chanting to a bigger sense of self. And that's the goal, is to break down these prison bars, these little micro midget thoughts of the micro midget human mind, and get with the universal mind, universal consciousness. So this one has some minor notes. Shambho Shankara, Namah Shivaya, Namo Namah. 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 Namah Shivaya, Namo Namah. Namah Shivaya, Namo Namah. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Shambho, Shambho Shankara, Namah Shivaya, Namo Namah. 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 Om Namah Shivaya, Namah Shivaya. Shambho Shankara, Namah Shivaya, Namo Namah. Shambho Shankara, Namah Shivaya, Namo Shambho Shankara, Namah Shivaya, Namo Namah. 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 Try and dig back into your breathing meditation. Step by step, breath by breath, climbing out to the top of Mount Kailash. Thank you, Great Spirit, for this life. I'm coming home now. Om Lord Shiva is the feeling of liberation. He sits on mountaintop, high in the Himalayas, meditating for hundreds of years at a time with unbroken concentration. It's called the auspicious one, the one that demonstrates freedom. Please invite everyone to spend time in group practice and individual practice contemplating truth. When you practice by yourself, it brings you to the state of devotion. When you practice with others, it brings you to the state of support. It's called your satsang. The word satsang means fellowship or communion of truth, community of truth. And why would we think about this? We think about this for what I said earlier. We're constantly surrounded by liars and fools and slaves that have no spiritual awareness whatsoever. So you want to get together whenever you can with people that are practicing truth. The vast majority of people that you're surrounded by are not interested in truth. They're completely disinterested in freedom. They're completely disinterested in spiritual awareness. So you need time out from those people, both by being in solitude and by being with the other practitioners, the other people seeking truth. That's why you come to the Bhakti Fest. That's why you go to your yoga class or your meditation class, your mantra class, whatever you do to gather in the name of truth. It's a very important part of spiritual progression. Nobody gets to the mountain top of truth completely alone. You need friends, you need a guru, you need help. It's hard, it's a hard path, cutting through this materialistic world of liars and slaves. It's very difficult to be free when you're surrounded by people who don't care. So you have to surround yourself with people who do care. How do you know if someone's in your satsang? Number one, they're practicing truth. Number two, they don't hurt you. Number three, they help you. They're kind. They're loving. They are nothing but good. There's no bullshit in satsang. There's no suffering. There's no abuse. There's no molestation. There's no ownership. There's nothing but helpful kindness with satsang. These are the people that are your teammates on the pathway to freedom. And you have to be honest about who's in your world that's really helpful in your life and who's slowing you down, who's holding you back. Nobody gets to the mountaintop of freedom by dragging a whole bunch of other fools behind them. It's too difficult. It's hard enough to get yourself, your lonely being, to the mountaintop of freedom, but you cannot make it if you're surrounded and attached and entangled with people that don't care. It's impossible. So it's freedom through association, freedom through hanging with your satsang, or it's imprisonment by hanging with fools that don't care. That's your choice. But if you don't spend time in practice individually, and you don't spend time practicing with other practitioners who are righteous, good people, then you're not going to get there. So it's all proportional to the time spent in practice and the feeling of devotion, having the feeling, I cannot wait to go back to my meditation altar. I cannot wait to go back and chant the next chant. It's a feeling of, it's not anxiety, but it's enthusiasm to keep going on your practice rather than staying on the ship of fools, rather than succumbing to another text message or a Facebook friend bullshit. Any type of these small furtive entanglements are completely worthless in the grand scheme of things, and they lead inexorably to more and more death and reincarnation. So you want to free yourself from the small, from the minuscule thoughts of yourself and others, from the small, mindless, stupid thoughts of yourself and others. You have to free yourself. It's called setting yourself free. You set yourself free from liars and slaves. You set yourself free from your own delusional state, and you climb up out of the morass, out of the jungle of entanglements. You start becoming real. And you start following a path. We call it Das, Anudas, Anudas, Anudas. I am the follower of the follower of the follower. So whenever you hear someone has the word Das as part of the name, the word Das actually means servant or follower, helpful, the helper, the person that helps someone. We get to freedom by helping others without expectation or attachment to the result. And this is how we get to freedom. Paying attention to breath with gratitude, studying the truth. For any people here that are the intellectual type of people that like reading books, there's a wonderful book right down here on the altar. I bring this everywhere I go. I constantly talk about it. I've given away hundreds of copies and sold hundreds of copies of this book. But if you are truly interested in the path of freedom, try to read that book. See if your little mind can get opened up enough to take it in and to see how it works. That was the book that in the year 2003, I was in a recording session in Ashland, Oregon. I was really high from playing music. It's easy to get high playing music, and at the end of the session I couldn't sleep, and they gave me a beautiful apartment to sleep in. And I was just sitting there, my mind was all like supercharged with good vibes and everything. But I wanted to go to sleep because I was tired. Anyways, this book just happened to be sitting on the little table next to the bed, and I picked it up. I did the old I Ching. Okay, I'm just going to open it up. Well, I opened it up to Chapter 8. Chapter 8 is the causes of bondage and suffering. I said, oh, that's pretty heavy. And right off the bat, I kind of like, I don't know. But I read that book, and within 2 pages, that's when I had the big enlightenment moment of, aha, I actually have reincarnated thousands of times, and I could see this long chain of reincarnation, like little faces in a movie, and you just realize everything has been repeating for a long, long time. And it was a very humbling moment. It really reminded me back in the day when I was much younger. I used to take LSD and you take LSD if you want to blow your mind open, like you realize that your mind is all locked up and you want to blow it open. So that book was like a intellectual LSD trip, and suddenly I had the realization, like, wow, reincarnation is surreal. I always believed it. I've had plenty of experiences where I meet people and I know that I've known them from before. Absolutely no question about that. But that book that's what I'm trying to impress upon you is study truth. The truth shall set you free. If you don't know what the truth is, you can't be free. There's no freedom for the ignorant. There's only more enslavement. So it's a process of emancipating yourself from ignorance. Go to the bathroom here in a minute, so take a little break. But I want to thank everybody who hung in here. I'm not over, but I'm going to just take a moment. Anybody that wants to stay. We're going to go a little more into the music in the second part. I'm going to rock out a little bit, but just trying to demonstrate some of the elements of yoga. There's the obvious thing that most people associate with is, stretching the body and becoming strong and flexible, and therefore becoming more flexible in your mind and stronger and more disciplined. But then there's the contemplation on the philosophy and the truth. That's called the Jnana Yoga. It's spelled Jnanna, or Jnana Yoga. But that is the studying of the philosophy to understand the way the system works. If you don't understand the way the system works, you're completely lost. You don't know. You're just like a pinball in a pinball machine of your own desires and regrets. You're just bouncing from one thing to another, one place to another, one person to another, one family to another. one friendship to another, one situation, one house, whatever your situations are, those are what are being removed from you. Those are the things that are being stripped away. So start identifying that which is real and that is non-bullshit. There's no lying. In true yoga, there's absolutely no lying. That's just complete honesty at all times. So to be a real true yogi, you have to give up on lying, listening to lies, and hanging out with liars. You've got to drop it. You've got to drop every level of lying that you're entangled with and start watching yourself when it's happening. In other words, if you're sitting somewhere listening to some mindless talk, it's completely irrelevant. It has nothing to do with attaining freedom. You're listening to a lie. If it's not going with freedom and eternal life, it's a lie. Because remember the very beginning premise, the Master said, only that which exists in the past, present, and future is true. So if it doesn't meet that definition, it's not true. So you have to consider what is true and what's untrue, what's real and what's unreal. So to find yourself on a pathway of freedom is to call yourself out on any bullshit and to call yourself out on any lying and just mindless bullshit of chitter-chat with other people and other things. Just, stop listening to commercials, stop, it's all about letting go. Just stop doing things. It's so easy to stop doing things. It's harder to stop thinking about things. So you got thought, word, and action. These are all karmic levels of existence. Thoughts repeat like an echo. Words and conversations with different people repeat like an echo. And activities with certain people and yourself repeat like an echo. Become very clear on which one of those things is helping you get to freedom and which is burning up your precious time, which is limited. That's the thing that most people don't get. That's what I mean when we're surrounded by liars and fools. They don't know that they're quickly approaching the moment of death. Even though if you live to be really old, it might seem to go slowly. But when you understand you have reincarnated thousands of times, one lifetime is just like, whew, it's over, baby. And here's the biggie. If you do not make it to spiritual liberation in any one lifetime, your soul, along with all the other souls of the unenlightened dead, in other words, all the people that died without achieving spiritual liberation, that soul is trapped in the astral plane, which is even more intense than the earth, because in the astral plane you have no existence. There's no existence in the astral plane. There's no progression. It's like a storage locker, like a cold storage locker, like a meat locker of the soul that are still in bondage to their desires and regrets. So all those souls that are in bondage to all the suffering that they had, all the death and the dying and all the process of disintegration and all those lifetimes, and all the souls that have desire, I want more pleasure. I think if I reincarnate, I'm going to have more happiness this time. That's where all those souls are stored in between incarnations. There's many, many, many more billions of souls trapped in the astral plane than there are souls reincarnated and trapped in ignorance in the body. So if you consider the total number of souls, it's really very large. And it's got a definite number on it, and it's a big number. It's the number that's connected to every sperm cell and every egg cell and every sexual act between human beings. Your chance of existing, coming back from the astral plane because you had a mother and father that were willing to have sex, the chances of your existence are very minuscule. We know from the example of the fraternal twins and triplets that more than one soul, these are the non-identical babies that come from the same sex act, more than one soul can come from a single sex act. So you take, numerically, the number of people that could possibly reproduce, people that can produce sperm cells and egg cells that could possibly produce a child, times the number of menstrual cycles the woman has, times the number of eggs she has in her body, times the number of sexual unions she has, times the number of sperms that come out of the man in every ejaculation, times the number of sexual unions that he has, your chances of existence are the tiny little number 1 divided by trillions upon trillions upon trillions of souls. There's other souls that could have reincarnated just as easily as you. But for whatever reason, you came back, and all those other souls are lost in the astral plane, completely filled with desire and regret. So the astral plane is a pure prison world. There's no advancement. You have no existence. All you have is desire and regret. That's all that exists. So whenever you say, people, I'm in my astral body, I want to travel to astral. No, you don't want to go to the astral. The astral is like the garbage pit. It's like this, it's really like the dumping ground of all the dead souls. That's where all the pollution is, the radiation, all the chemicals, all the dust. It's all, radioactivity, all these sorts of things that are blowing around in the air, the chemtrails, any of these sort of things. That's the astral plane. So really rough, tough going in the astral plane. You're completely just out there. You have your desire and your regret. You can't wait to get back. That's why there's this incredibly large impetus for people to have sex, because there's trillions upon trillions of people that want to reincarnate, shouting to the man and the woman in the love mode, saying, "Come on, go for it. We want to come back. We need to come back." And they're like screaming. They're trying so hard to reincarnate that they're motivating people to be in all kinds of strange relationships, and you know how it is. Most marriages end in divorce, this sort of thing. The souls that are trying to reincarnate, they do not care about the joy or happiness or contentment of the parents. They're simply trying to reincarnate. So the impetus to reincarnate is so strong because the prison world of the astral plane is so terrible. The earth itself is 50-50. Everybody dies here, but at least you have a chance for freedom. You have a chance to see the light. You have a chance to go beyond the earth, but in the astral plane you have nothing. And the sad truth is it can take many, many years or decades or even life, centuries before you get another chance. You can be lost in the astral plane for a long, long time. So that's another reason why the hardcore practitioners of yoga have gratitude for their life. Like, thank God, I made it. I have a platform. I have a little bit of time to try and get to freedom while I'm here. And I know that it's rare. I know that the chances of this happening are very rare. So therefore, I'm really happy I made it out of this dark, cold place with nothing. So our condition is always bigger than we think, both in the positive and the negative. Yes, you can spend many more decades or lifetimes or centuries lost in the astral plane of desire and regret and suffering and birth and death, or you can make a concerted effort to realize truth and come home to a freedom. What does that mean? It means living throughout the universe in your light body. That's the part of the human being that is not destroyed at the moment of death. I didn't touch anything. Anyways, start to contemplate the bigger picture and spend a lot of time out in nature. It's a beautiful thing to come out in the desert and look at all the stars. That's kind of more the viewpoint to start finding yourself and look at big things, big places, big situations. Get out of the micro mind and get into the cosmic mind. And so I'm hoping that this music and talking about these things helps you to bring you to that awareness. We'll take a little break, drink some water, and come back. We'll play a little music. Get into the singing. So this was kind of the philosophical content, the contemplation, a little bit of pranayama, and just trying to get clear with truth. Just finally start breaking through all the bullshit and the lies and get to the truth. That's the practice of yoga, is to give up on all ignorance and lies. They don't talk about it because it's really hard, but that's what you got to do. So Gostar and Boaz, they can play some great music, no doubt. By the way, these are my really good friends. They're long-time musicians and very creative people. Gostar from Eastern Europe and Hungary, and longtime California Rainbow lady. She's got a whole long career of singer, songwriter, and chant leader, and kirtan lady, and she has the most amazing songs ever. She's got lots of, like, I don't know how many, but lots. Many days worth of beautiful songs, so maybe she'll do a couple. And this is Boaz. He's a longtime student of music and highly accomplished drum player. He makes drums, he plays drums, and he's now, luckily, he's become a dad at a relatively late date. He's become a father, which is really sweet, and his little girl is just a total angel. And so those souls that come through us as children, they help raise your vibration, even if it's very, very difficult and challenged, because you gave another lost soul a chance to exist. You have raised your vibration. That other soul is just out there in the astral plane, and because you were gracious enough and loving enough to let that come through, you've done a great service to humanity, and you've given another soul a chance for existence and life. And so it's a big blessing. We want to honor him for being a dad and really showing up. And so thank you.
Yeah, Dan.